The second paper that I want to look at is Horike from 2024, which is quite a lot like the Theretho-Teles paper. So you've got an unpaired experiment of the treated and placebo group. The placebo is a very clever placebo because it's a patch. So you have sometimes a patch with a needle, sometimes a patch without a needle, and that conceals actually from the experimentalist which of the two groups they're in. Two groups, each of 25 participants, so a smaller study than the previous one. You have before treatment measures, and again you've got time points A1, A2 and A3, which are 1 week, 2 weeks and 3 weeks. Reported differences and standard errors exactly the same way as reported from Theretho-Teles. There's some adverse events to do with skin contacts of the patches, the sort of rubberized patches. 36% in the treated group, 20% in the placebo group. Treated group increased amount because of the actual puncturing of the skin. All participants completed the treatment, not like the dropout rate and the early stopping rate that you've got in Theretho-Teles. The data was recorded between 0 and 100, not 0 and 10, so I've modified the scale to be between 0 and 10. So the means before you start, 5.14, 5.272, similar sort of level, fairly large standard deviations. Then you've got the differences and the amounts of change. Again, with standard errors, which you see are a lot smaller than the standard deviations because they need to be multiplied by the square root of the number of participants to convert them back to standard deviations. So this is what you've got in the final table. The standard deviations here are quite small compared to other standard deviations. This suggests that when this experimentalist has done the comparison of the pre-treatment to the treated cases, they've done actual paired differences, which is better. In terms of placebo effect, there's no significant difference between the controlled and the treated group, so it looks very much like a placebo effect is the main reason. All of the confidence intervals contain an effect size of 0 in the original published paper. The endpoint is going to be the last of the 3 time points. That makes it consistent with the Theretho-Teles. So I'm going to use the A3 measurement, as the others only apply to partial treatments. At the 2 Irnich papers, so first the 2001 study, that first one that they carried out. This was a group that started to look at the placebo effects in acupuncture and to think about what could be used as a placebo. It's an unpaired experiment with 3 different group sizes. Uses the VAS score between 0 and 100, so modified to 0 to 10. Data was given as the amount of change and also as confidence intervals. This is like the Theretho-Teles, but now harder to deal with because you've got confidence intervals and not standard errors. So we have to therefore do some back calculations to work out what the standard deviations are. So the confidence interval is the mean plus or minus 1.96. So that's the value from tables to the normal distribution times the standard error. So an example for the acupuncture mean is 24.22, sample size is 51, and the upper confidence interval limit is 31.9. So 31.9 equals 24.422 plus 1.96 times the standard deviation, the thing we don't know, divided by the square root of 51. So by doing the subtraction, then doing the divisions and the multiplications, you work out that the standard deviation is 2.798. When you're doing any sort of calculations like this, it's a good idea, because it's a long formula involving many different steps, to do it in Excel. So in general, I create Excel spreadsheets to do these calculations when I'm doing it for multiple groups. This gives the final data table. as this. So the pre group 61, 56 and 60, the means before were about 5.5, and you've got your mean differences 1.78, 2.422, and massage 0.789. And this illustrates the problem that I thought about Cerretto teles in the first place, that massage is not really a very good placebo because it's not like acupuncture. So here, massage has a very big difference between it and sham and acupuncture. But the difference between the sham acupuncture and the actual acupuncture is quite small. So when you create a proper placebo, the effect size is much smaller. But if you compare it to another treatment, then the effect can be larger. So there's not a very large placebo effect for massage, but there is for the sham treatment. It's got larger standard deviations than I would expect, and this makes me a little concerned about why they reported as confidence intervals and whether they were actually trying to conceal something and if they had some concerns when they were doing their experiment. So acupuncture is the treated group. It's an issue to determine the control group, but I would use the sham acupuncture as the better control.